Good morning, for me anyway. I don't know what time you're watching this, but today is a try some things out kind of day. I've come to this park that has a lot of very pretty cherry blossoms. The trees have been blooming for a little bit, and there's a lot of little birds in these trees that have come by, and I'm gonna try shooting these guys today. If you're a photographer, or if you know anybody that is into photography, you know that we tend to get up early to catch the sunrise, catch the color in the sky, or wait around till sunset. So early in the day, late in the day, that's usually naturally when things look the best. The low angle of the sun kind of gives a really good quality of light to most areas, especially if you're a landscape photographer. And so that always kind of leaves us midday with not a lot really to do. Sure, you can go shoot whatever you want midday, but most photographers would agree that the light quality is better earlier on in the day or later in the afternoon. So I'm out to find something that is pretty to shoot midday when the sun is still high. The idea I have is to come to this park where there's cherry blossom trees and shoot some of the smaller birds in them, because in that case, the direction of the sun doesn't really matter as much. It can be really toppy and still give you a quality picture because it's illuminating the colorful flowers that the bird's completely surrounded by. The challenge is just going to be actually getting a shot of the birds because they're tiny, they move very quickly, and there's a lot of branches and petals in between them, so it's really hard to get a clear shot and get the autofocus to lock on. Go away, go away. I think I'm getting bit by a fly right now. Ah! Yep. Oh. What was that? Ew. So it's almost 11 o'clock. I'm going to head out into the park and try to find some of these smaller birds and those cherry blossoms. I've got the RF 600mm with a 1.4x teleconverter on it and my trusty R3. We'll see if my theory is right, if midday birds in trees still look good. Now, if you watched my last video, you saw how much I love my Armageddon Gear medium fat bag, and this is a perfect example of when something like this really comes in handy. I don't want to be wandering around the park carrying a tripod or any other support gear. This thing I can set down on a rock, I can put it under my arm, I can set it on the ground, and it's really just this, my camera, and I keep an extra battery and some cards in this bag, and I'm super lightweight as I'm wandering around. This duck is convinced I've got something for him. I'm sorry, duck. I've got no food for you. All right, see you, duck. Another good example where the bag comes in handy. Now the tree is a shooting platform. I'm not much of an ornithologist, but there's a vermilion flycatcher down here. It's a cool red bird. If it looks cool, I shoot it. So this is the thing about using long lenses. When you see something like I've got what I think is a Says Phoebe. If I take this one step, it changes my background completely. So from here, I've got a green tree in the background. So the background's shades of green. And then here, there's a cherry blossom in the background. So the background's very pink. And that's one of the things when you start shooting with a very long telephoto that you've really got to pay attention to. And honestly, I look for before I even shoot the subject. So if I see something I want to take a photo of, I take a look at where it is. And as I'm approaching, I'm kind of walking through and looking at what I can put behind it. Sometimes getting lower or higher makes a big difference. And then in this case, something like just taking this step made a complete difference in the way that that photo ends up looking. I'm gonna go high mode with my bag here. Let's see what I can get in frame. Let's get this little guy in the grass here. As you can see, just on me, the sun's really high, shadows are really harsh. So this is kind of prime time to test out this theory of whether or not shooting into the cherry blossom trees will still work at different times of day. It's a gorgeous day. The sky's clear, it's really sunny. Unfortunately, right now, the light from this tree is getting blocked by this tree, just based on where the sun's positioned. So I have to kind of like find. You can see like this one, this first one here closest to me is kind of dark. It's in the shade. Those next two are pretty bright, but I gotta wait for something to land there in a position where I can shoot through it. So, and this is hard. This is worst case scenario for shooting wildlife, where it's a tiny subject, fast moving, in and out of shade, and in between tree branches and other obstacles. So most of this is going to be luck. Well, so far, the theory seems to be working. One of the reasons that shooting midday doesn't work all that well is because the light being overhead makes the shadows on everything really harsh. Also, the highlights on everything are really harsh. So there's just like a very kind of aggressive contrast with anything that you shoot. And it's very hard to find light that helps like shape and enhance whatever the subject is that you're shooting. So as long as what you're shooting has a lot of color contrast or has a lot of color detail, or just detail in general, then the position of the sun doesn't seem to matter all that much. And these cherry blossoms, where they're just kind of surrounded by pink, you find that nice, like there was a yellow warbler, I think it was, but a yellow colored bird in this pink pastel-y kind of, environment really pops and looks nice. And that yellow and pink color contrast just naturally and inherently looks good. So it kind of doesn't become an issue the same way. Now, most of the birds that I'm seeing that are just kind of out on branches or perched out somewhere where they're just getting direct sunlight, those are a little more harsh. That kind of shows more of the difference between when you're trying to shoot something that's surrounded by pretty colors versus something that's just out in the middle of nowhere and you've got to find something to frame up behind it. I have no idea why, but there's this, I don't know, robin? Bird just picking the flowers off of every, like, come on, man, you're ruining the tree. Stop it. I was literally just flying from branch to branch and just picking the flowers out. Some of us like to enjoy the cherry blossoms. Oh, there he is. Oh, yeah, there's a bluebird. The bluebird's back too. If you got this far in the video, make sure you click that like button. It really helps a lot. And comment on which photo you like the most. Also, I realize that this is the first wildlife walk around vlog I've done, so if you want to see more of these, let me know, because this is something that's a little harder to do. It's a little more impromptu, but we'll do it more if everybody wants it. I'm gonna go see if I can find a burrito. Catch y'all in the next one.